Hello, everyone, and welcome to Compassionate Chats. I'm Tanys Coughlan, and I'm joined by my co-host today, Heidi Gagne.
Hello.
Hello, Heidi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. And we have an awesome guest, Andrew Gill. Welcome, Andrew.
Welcome.
Hi there.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Good to see you, too. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, because you're here for seniors fitness. So that's the overarching topic. Why don't you tell us what you do to promote that?
Well, I do. I work at various city locations, and I work privately with individuals to help better their life, lower their stress, and part of the way that we get there is to help them become more confident in the exercises, or to have an understanding of exercise as a positive thing in their life, so it's not scary or something that they won't continue. So one of my modes of helping people is to make it fun. I might throw in some jokes, or I might try to link why it's important in their life. So if it's, for example, if they're a golfer or a tennis player and they need to learn core, we do a lot of core and strengthening to help with that, so they don't hurt their back. If they have issues with knees or back, or if they have trouble walking and they have weak legs, or they want to get up from a chair more easily, part of my program would be to help them with strengthening of the legs and core. So, for example, we would do sit to stands. And initially, some people would say, well, it's a little rough, I can't do it. So we would adapt the program for them. Let's say if someone couldn't sit to stand with a major knee or back issues, I would say, well, you can do some knee ups. And once they get stronger with that, then we progress towards, and I'll show you one right now, like a sit to stand. And you start from lower numbers and you start to increase 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets, and you see miraculous results over time.
Just by those basic moves of just standing up and sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
If you were on a desert island and you had one exercise to save you, and you were sitting in some tree, a sit to stand would save you from all sorts of things you might encounter on an island where you'd have to run away from, or to be strong enough to move. So strengthening your thigh muscles can literally save your life, because if you have weak bones or weak muscles, that might give you the propensity to fall, and then you can potentially fracture a bone, and then you have all sorts of issues with fear around doing anything physical, but also possibly breaking a bone where you get infection. So I try to link the action with the greater life possibility of improvement. And so I do that in my Zoom classes. Zoom classes started in the pandemic, where I was teaching fitness class in a setting at the city, and we ended up going private because we couldn't have access to those facilities anymore. And now we're into the 60th month of doing it 3 times a week, 48 to 50 weeks, 48 weeks of the year.
Awesome.
So I'll get a Zoom link by our host, our wonderful host, Sandy Kusajak, 3 times a week, 8:45, and log in, and it's a 40-minute class. So I'll do various band exercises, the standing with weights. I'll do some sitting exercises, and it's just short enough for people to get a workout, but not feel like they can't make the hour without a lot of over fatigue.
And the bands you're talking about are like the TheraBands, right? The ones that
yes,
you use for resistance?
Yes, so you can do, as an example,
chest pulls and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, could step away from the camera just for a second and give you an example of that if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah. Sounds good.
So if I even back up, I can give you an example of what I would do
Mhm.
in a fitness class seated. So we would wrap a band around the mid thigh.
Mm-hmm.
All sorts of exercises you could do for the thighs to make them stronger. So you could hold on to the band and you can do what we call a clamshell.
Okay.
And I would cue people for sitting straight up because people slouch. So we would do this, and I would also
I
cue
just
the
thought it was
breathing.
straighter.
Speaking of slouching,
Right?
both of us are like, oh yeah.
I should probably sit up straight. So
Right.
you're using the bands when you're doing a Zoom class? Like, how do people have, so if they were going to sign up for this class, would they then purchase these supplies? How does that work?
Yeah, we would ask them to purchase them before they start the class. And
Okay.
bands come in various strengths. Like
Yeah.
their band as a company typically starts a yellow band, lightest, then we go red and then green, and then they go up to blue and black for the strongest ones.
Okay.
And they're very good rehab tools too. So people who have, let's say, a shoulder issue, that's where we would go into the band pull. So I would say, back straight, stomach in, hands out, not too short because you don't want to strain your shoulder.
Right.
You want to pull towards the chest.
Okay.
And people, the challenges of a fitness trainer sometimes is people might try to do it too fast. So you want to make sure it's slow, steady, and the breath is proper. So I do that in class all the time.
Right. And how do you find, how do you do that on a Zoom class? Is that is it a bit of more of a challenge to make sure that people their posture is correct and they're actually doing the exercise properly?
You'll see, as opposed to doing it at a gym where you can scan around a little bit easier,
Right.
any class or any Zoom, people will do, they might zone up and sometimes do what they want regardless of what you're saying. So you can approach them after class, or I'll remind them, and I'll give them a reason why I'm reminding them. I'll say, if you, for example, were to pull the band with your hands too close and you pull it wide, you're going to strain your shoulder, and there you're out of fitness. You just strain your shoulder. So the great thing about these bands, as you can apply it to the class, is you can take them and make the exercises progressively harder. So the sit to stand would be without the band. Let's say we do a sit to stand up and down, and then we get to the point where that's a little bit easier, so we can add reps. But then also what we can do is we would get the person to stand, and then we would get them to lower much slower, and then we work the back legs. So we get that person to improve their performance and the results. And as I'm going to relate that to the band, then you can start to get the band around the thigh and then do the sit to stand with the band. So there's that extra resistance. And
then you have to, oh, I see.
And so for seniors, you also give, and for anybody, but for seniors, you give them that confidence to do things they didn't think they could do.
Right.
And so
I would say a lot of fitness is about that, right? Helping people to have the confidence in doing exercises that they haven't necessarily done before.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mind over matter in some ways, right?
Or they just didn't realize it's an actual beneficial exercise. I mean, we all stand up and sit down, but that's to actually see it as this is hugely beneficial, and it's something so basic that we all do it. but how important it is to just do those simple exercises, and it helps. And I think, seniors might not think that it's that helpful, but
It really
there it is.
Yeah.
And then you just add the resistance, and as they strengthen their legs, and then it's even better.
Yeah, I like to give them a metaphor or symbolism of it. It's every time, we spend so much of our lives trying to make more money, and that's very important. But if you think of exercise as building your body's bank account, that's what you're doing. Every rep counts towards your better health and fitness in the long term. So you're not just exercising now, you're exercising for the future. You can link what you do now to 20 to 30 years down the road, and then there's less healthcare costs associated with you having more brittle bones or overcompensation. Like people will say, "Oh, I want to take this down here and bring that up here." I've heard that one before, and they'll do it.
I may have said that in my life. Can we just take it from here and move it somewhere else? Like, I don't mind. I'll take some hips. Off the belly. Give me a few more hips. That'd be fine.
That's right. So it's everybody can do that. We all have our times where it's lower activity, but then once you start to link it to the social gathering of the class too, then you say, I meet people, and I'm doing the thing I like. Now, the only problem with the social gathering sometimes is people will only do it in the social gathering instead of doing it by themselves, and they need to do both.
Right. So it's great to do the class, but you also need to do it on a regular basis while you're at home.
Yes, and one of the ways you can motivate yourself for that is, I took a course, my boss 2 weeks ago on better habits. And so you could say something like, people make promises to themselves all the time that they break, but you could say to a friend, let's say if you want to lose 5 pounds in a month, which is a very reasonable thing to do, you say, if I don't lose that 5 pounds, I've got to take you out for $100 dinner or something like that. And guaranteed you will exercise every day. And then you set a new goal from there. I'm going to walk 5K in X amount of time. And then eventually you say, I'm going to run it. And then I'm not, or jog it. And then 6 months down the road, you're going to say, I'm going to run it in this time. And then you go to half marathons, and then you can bring it up to it's something you never believed possible. Goals. So baby goals.
So accountability partner too for that, right?
Well, and it's so true. Like my house, we have a gym. My husband loves it. We have a treadmill. We have a stationary bike. We have a weight bench. We have the adjustable weight things. I have a punching bag, and I do kickboxing, which I pay for. But I honestly do not use my gym that is literally next to my bedroom. I do not use it, but I go to kickboxing every week because I pay for it. Because it costs me money.
You paid for your equipment. So
well, my husband did that many, many years ago. but I did buy a kick bag that I used during COVID when our classes were canceled. I hired my teacher to create a plan for me, a program. So I did do it at home, but now I just go to her because then I can complain to her about what she's doing to me, and it's more fun.
And there's that social piece again.
It is.
So that is the benefit of a class, right?
Yeah.
That's a stress reliever too. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I actually, I used to do, I'm going to go back to it, but I did boxing conditioning classes at city facility, and it's 1,000 calorie burn per hour. But my goal in doing it was just the pure fitness of it and testing yourself. And I mean, it goes from week 1 to week 8, and week 1, you would do 2 minutes, 2 minute intervals, and then it goes up to 3, and it would be far tougher at the last week because the time in between the intervals would shorten, and you would be exhausted. And one of the great benefits for me was that I was training for a 5K at the time, that time, and I was able to do it because of my enhanced fitness. I did it much faster than I would have had I not cross-trained like that. So, and so it's like self-defense, or, you know, you don't want to be in a situation where you necessarily have to use it, but it would be good self-defense, mobility, agility, strength, cardiovascular health, flexibility, stress relief. There's
there are so many benefits to exercise, and you don't even notice. Like that's what I noticed with mine. Before COVID, I had been doing my kickboxing once a week for like 3 years, 4 years at that point, 3 years maybe, and then COVID stopped, and man, I felt it so quickly, like so quickly, that even just that 1 hour a week, like I lost it. And I was building my flexibility up until COVID. And then when COVID occurred, I lost some, but then we were able to do classes again. And then I stopped for a period because it wasn't as close to me as the class was in previous years. So I didn't do it for about a year and a half. And man, I just went back recently, the beginning of this year. Oh, everything hurt. Everything hurt. I lost all the flexibility that I'd worked so hard to get to. And I'm starting to get it back now because I'm going every week, which is great. So it doesn't take too long for it to come back, but man, you can lose it so quickly. So quickly.
You definitely lose it faster than you gain it, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
Is that accurate, Andrew? That you lose your muscle tone faster than you can gain it?
Your muscle memory will allow you to bring it back. It just takes a little longer, but you can still get there. And a tool you could use to, you know, get your next level up in the kickboxing or anything strength would be to, like I say, write it down in a chart where you do a check mark instead of associating with, it's been so long, and then it's the self-talk of, will I get back to where I was? Not only will you get back to where you were, but you'll be better than you were because that visualization of being there. So you have to almost do a meditation on it, that you will increase. You take your expectation and exceed it over time.
Right.
So, and you will get there, no matter what. That's a good.
Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, I like the idea that you mentioned about the small goals, about, tell your friend, I'm going to lose this weight, or I'm going to be able to do this many sit to stand without any problems. And then we'll go do something. I did that last year before our trip to Hawaii. And I was like, I'm climbing a volcano. Darn it. I don't want to be huffing and puffing because I'm already going to be huffing and puffing because of the 10,000 elevation, 10,000 foot elevation. And so I did that. I went on my treadmill and I made my routine and I did it. And I could tell you that I wandered around Maui with ease because I had been working my way to it. And I'm like in my mid 40s. So I can imagine but how difficult it would be for a senior where they need to be able to walk to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I enjoyed the goal of walking on a volcano, but just to be able to go to the bathroom would also be, when you're struggling to do that, and just the simple exercises, if you do it and your goal is to get to the bathroom unassisted, that's a darn good goal.
Definitely.
Well, I'd say I've taken enough courses where some of the data around older adults was quite quite good in the sense that they helps to reinforce motivation, and it was encouraging. You could, at 90 years old, you could still develop 50 to 200% strength gains after 4 months of strength training. So for people who say, I'm too old for this, no, you're not too old. You'll improve. And
right.
So those people who say, I can't get up off the chest, the Chesterfield or chair, then they have shoulder issues because they use the shoulder. And you get those people to do the knee ups, and then slowly progress to 5 reps, and then up, and then eventually you can add weights and weight on the chest, for example, and there you go. You're doing a little bit more.
Right.
So I'll show you one in the chair at the side. I'll make sure you're in view. But so one of the things that's great about balance, obviously, the things that it brings you is that you can do it in a different mode. So you can close your eyes and make balance exercise tougher. You don't necessarily have to do this and struggle for balance. You can hold on to a chair, bring your leg back, arm up, and, count to 10 seconds. And then just by closing your eyes, your body's nervous system is fighting you to get more balance,
Right.
but then you get more balance. So
Right.
that's something I would do in class to improve someone's balance. And then you go longer.
So how do you design the programs? Like, so how did you get to this point in your career? What were you doing that got you into working with seniors and designing custom programs? How did you become this?
Well, one of my first thoughts way back in '90s was that I was at my grandmother's and I was talking to the family about, before even knowing what personal training really was, I said I should go to people's homes and show them exercises. And I somehow was linked or got one of the cooks at one of the restaurants I visited said their cousin was into personal training and they told me about a course. So I got certified in the American Council on Exercise, personal training, and I did that. And then I got certified in Sport Performance Institute. So I design programs from the base where someone will go in and want to know how the machines work at a gym. And machines are different from freestanding exercises because there's more isolation when you do a machine. Whereas when you do free weights, you're adding other muscle groups. So that's how I'll progress from seeing somebody doing just a starter program. And then when they get to a certain level, then we can start to add more challenging routines. So one of the ways you can do that is an interval program where you would go on the treadmill, step on a treadmill and work for 10 minutes and then do weights and go back to the treadmill, back to weights. And then it also just makes it more exciting for them because it's not too much of a routine for them.
Would you do that with seniors as well? Like if they come to you at the gym, would you do that for seniors as well? Or I guess it would depend on what level of ability they have.
I'm very good to observe whether, for some people, their goal is just to be able to come once or twice a week or 3 times to just finish the program and say that they've gotten stronger. Other people's motivation is to raise their level of fitness so that they might improve in a sport, or like you say, if you're going on a trip and you're going on a trip where you go on a bus tour and there's a portion where you're going on a big long hike, you want to be able to do it without fatiguing and then pulling the rest of the group down. Especially like if you're walking up a mountain, you need to have very good strength in the legs and you got to have good cardiovascular fitness. So for someone who would be going on a trip like that, I'd say, well, you can do, you could go on a treadmill and we could make you walk at an angle for 10, 15 minutes. Initially up and down, and then you get the 45 degree basically. So your body will listen to you. Will go, okay, yes, now I'm ready. At first, 2 days later, there's usually this thing called delayed onset soreness.
I hate it.
2 days. Oh yes, yeah. Usually the trainer will say it. He won't be around or she won't be around when you feel it. But then you come back and you could hardly move.
Except for the joys of Facebook.
Andrew, what did you do to me, Andrew?
I messaged my kickboxing instructor on the group. She has a group on Facebook, and I'll send her memes going, "I don't like you right now. What are you doing to me? I can't move."
I do not like you. I respect you, but I do not like you right now. So
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna call you every name in the book right now. So how do you keep people motivated when they're in a class with you? Because that's really, really difficult. And I don't know. I had one person try to motivate me by going, okay, like 4 more, you can do this, and I wanted to punch her. So yeah, that's not motivating me. That's angering me. So how do you find? Like I'm sure everybody is different, but what are some of the ways that you've done it that have been really successful to motivate somebody during a particularly difficult session?
well, I'm lucky enough at the city classes to have music. Music takes you to a place of meditation and stress away from your problems, especially if it's got a good beat. And you literally are stepping into a hypnotic state of you follow the instructions, the music's playing, you're in a different zone.
Right.
And then you can link exercise with fun, and then it reinforces you doing it again. The Zoom classes don't have, because of the way it's structured, you just can't have music in the background. Everything would cut out. So I basically tried to have no class ever be exactly alike. And I've had this a program in my mind from all the years that I've done this, that I can do combination exercises or compound exercises. So for example, if, again, with showing that to you, someone were to do a knee up, and I get them to go up, then I start to add more resistance to it by getting to do an arm curl and a knee up at the same time.
And that works on the coordination as well then, right? And balance.
And then you start to do what we call isometric, where you hold the muscle in place, and you would do a curl, and then you could do a form of press, all the while where everything is still. So I'm really a stickler for form. And I go down to for example, also, I can get somebody to do an exercise with a band, and I might see someone hold the band like this, and I say, be careful, because you're not targeting that back arm, so you got to keep the elbow tight, extend without locking out.
Right.
And that's all. So everything is form and speed, and that helps you reach your goals.
Well, and the form helps protect you from injury, right? And that's where your training comes in, is making sure that you know the forms to give to them, and make sure that you're watching it. So
yes, prevention of injury, which would link you to not feel confident about doing exercise, and then you stop exercising, and then you stop exercising, then you have less strength, less cardio. So we always want to link it to something more positive. And it's down, you could go down to, I could even look at someone's elbow and say, okay, an inch over this way, where you to feel it. If they don't feel something here, then I got to adjust so they feel it. So it does work. Sure.
Yeah.
So, and even on Zoom, you can see that in the Zoom sessions. You can you're able to see everybody. Like, how many people are usually in a session if it's on Zoom? Is it a group, or would it be single?
It's 6 to 8. Some people there's a gallery view where I see all 8, but other people don't want to see the others. They just want to see me. Right. I will notice that maybe someone's going too fast, and I'll be able to do them to slow down. I'll say, I sound like a Navy SEAL something. I'll say knee, stomach tight, knees behind toes, body tall.
Right.
I do it like in a gentle Navy SEAL way, basically.
So he orders people around, is what he does.
Yeah, but that's what you have to do, because you're there to protect them and make sure that they're doing it right. Because if they're not doing it right, if somebody isn't doing it right, 1, they could get injured. 2, you're not getting the benefits of the exercise. So you're wasting your time. So why are you doing it? Because it's not the benefit of, it's not the purpose. So I mean, you have to make sure form is correct, and using the same terminology each time is like the minute you say, stand up straight, everyone's like, oh, stand up straight. Oh, now I need to put my knees this way and I have to put my legs this way. I know that's what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
And it just helps remind you as well.
Yeah. Well, for example, in a fitness class at a big gym, I might get people to do a push-up off the wall, and I will cue them to step back, and then I'll see people either put their arms too high or too low. If it's too high, you're going to strain the shoulder. If it's too low, you'll strain. So I get them to go right chest in front, hands in, and then push off. And then, after that, I allow them to just shake the hands off. It can be hard. Some people have arthritis, and then will allow for the fact that someone may not be able to do that exercise. So I'll say, just if you can't do 12, stop at 6. So I give them that better alternative. And
do you offer alternative exercises? Like, so you're going to be doing one thing that involves, like arm lifts or arm presses or something like that, but somebody in your class can't do it. Do you have in your back of your mind alternatives or things that they can do in place of it, where it's still the same benefit but without injuring them? Do you accommodate each person?
I do, yeah. And so, for example, there might be somebody who brings a rotator cuff issue to the class where they can't lift their hand up overhead without pain. So I'd say you can either lift halfway, and if that's too much, then bring your weights to your side and go up to 45 degrees. I always want to make it safe. I don't want them to feel that I'm going to cause an injury just because I'm standing there and just basically barking out orders. I don't have that style anyway to bark out orders. It's more of I'm direct with it, but there's a good flow to the way you say something is as important as what you say too. So you don't, because there are instructors who speak down to people, and you don't need that. They're not going to join your class and have fun if you speak to them that way. And humor comes into classes all the time. Like we have something happen with the audio equipment, and I'll just look over and it just stops. And I'll say, thank you. And then it'll start back. But,
so I do want to say, like, Andrew has been my mother's fitness instructor in class for a number of years. So me teasing him about barking orders is really just me teasing him. This is, there's a, he is not like that at all. He is very popular at the gym, and everybody wants to be in Andrew's classes. So he's
nice.
So we're joking.
You're doing it right.
But he's not barking orders.
I feel blessed, yes. And to for someone to I link it with the whole experience of them, almost forgetting that the hour is an hour. If you do the right class, an hour will feel like 45 minutes or 40 minutes or 30 minutes. And they'll say, oh, where'd the time go? So I feel very lucky and blessed that I'm able to do this. And I actually have gotten over, I had a bit of a 3-year or 2.5-year journey with an injury myself that was not serious enough to do surgery, but enough to stop me from doing things that I loved, like tennis or jogging. It was like what they call sacroiliac strain. And so that's the glute muscles or the hamstring and the bit of the back all involved in tightening up. And it just would not go away. And I mean, I had to alter the classes for myself. So in a sense, I had to empathize and be even more compassionate about what someone else might be going through in the class. Not that I didn't have it before, but you really see it when you're going through it yourself.
Yeah. It gives you fresh eyes on how frustrating a limitation is when you're used to being able to do it. And I'm
Mhm.
sure that happens a lot with people with injuries and everything. And see, I would imagine, like, I remember when I could do things, and now I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's
Yeah.
just not in the cards today. But, you know, you can work towards it. But I do remember, you know, 10, 15 years ago when I could, like, run up the stairs and not go,
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I think you get back to it. You get back to it. You do. You also with our ages, as we age, we do. Yeah, we can alter things, and but we can still hit that level that that is challenging for us, and we don't feel, there's not that negative self-talk to
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I did like a 5K in under 20 minutes, which is considered a strong time. And that's when I was doing the boxing classes. And then I've had a few injuries on and off over the years, but for the most part, I've been able to be lucky of not having them. But this last one was quite the journey for me. So I learned a lot of patience, like a lot of patience with
Yeah.
it. So I can translate that to my teaching clientele.
Right. Yeah. And putting yourself in their shoes and understanding that
Mhm.
it is hard to bounce back from these things, but every little bit helps. So even if you're just doing knee raises and standing and from or sit to stand, you're still helping yourself. You're still doing something good for yourself.
Yes,
Yes.
you're accomplishing something. If you come to a class and you've done the class, you will it'll open up your life in other ways you can't imagine. Like I had
Right.
somebody who came to class and said, I'm trusting you not to hurt me. And I go, don't worry, we got you covered. And I did say, on Sunday you will be sore after today's class. Just
It's a
so you
good
know.
sore though.
And she goes, oh, okay. And then she came to me the next week, oh my God, you were right. So and then the next time you're 70% as sore as you were, and then 60 and 50. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad to think that you could tell your progression by how sore you are or how less sore you are, but at least it's something that's maybe not visible, but you feel it. So you know, oh my gosh, I just gave it my all for an hour and I could barely walk 2 days later. But next week I gave it my all and I could barely walk for 2 hours less than last
Yes.
week. And at least it's some kind of, it is a motivation. And I personally remember that when I started back at kickboxing going, oh my God, I'm dying every single day, all
Mhm.
day long. But now I'm like, oh no, it's only like, oh, going up the stairs. Oof, there's that twinge, you know? And that was only a few months ago. So you can, it's a good motivation. It's a good kind of
it's a
pain.
confidence booster. It's just so
It
wonderful.
is.
It's all the negative concepts around exercise, no pain, no gain. But really, when you come down to it, it's actually no effort, no gain is more what the moniker
Yeah.
should have been from the beginning. Because
Yeah.
you'll see people work out where they literally can't move for 5 days, and they link pain with result instead of I was feeling effort while I was doing this, which is what you should be feeling. And you might feel a little sore those 2 days later, but by the third day, you shouldn't feel that same soreness.
No.
So
Yeah.
I educate people on that as well.
Yeah. That's
Well, and
important.
I think that is important, the education piece
Yeah.
around, what should you be feeling? If you're feeling something different, do something different with it. Yeah.
Well, and I really like what you said earlier about how exercise is basically your saving for your
investment.
future. It's your investment. And I think it's a really great way to think about it, because we're all thinking about, oh, I need to save for my retirement. Well, yeah, you need to save now for your body retirement so you can go and enjoy those walks around the neighborhood or go enjoy a walking group and be social and be active. And yeah, I think it's a really great way to think of it, as you're putting you're investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And we all need to do that.
Yeah. It's because you could have $1 million at 65, 70, but if you can't do that trip, or you have to pay heightened insurance because you have a condition, I mean, you know,
Or you have to
that's
spend
a
all that money and
yeah.
retrofit your entire house because you can't go upstairs anymore because you didn't put the time in and effort in and invest in your own physical abilities. Yeah, I mean, we all need to start thinking about that as soon as possible.
But also, it's never too late to start.
That's right.
Right?
Exercise, yes, should be enhance your belief system about yourself and the habits that form. And then when you know that you've accomplished something in fitness, then you can bring that to other areas of your life. It kind of spreads out, and, kind of
A good
logarithmic.
feeling.
Yeah. Build self-esteem for sure.
Yeah.
Because we make a commitment to ourselves and we actually keep it if we're doing it regularly. So
Confidence building.
And you get the dopamine of your
and
goals.
the dopamine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The runner's
I still
high.
hate exercising, but I'll do it because I like it. I hate it, but I like the benefits, so I'll do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you're still doing it. You do have to pick things that you like. You simply can't.
Yeah.
If someone said to you, Heidi, you have to swim, and swimming is great for you. It's considered the second or third best exercise in the world. You wouldn't keep up with it. You might say, well, quite frankly, no, I don't want chlorine, and it's just not for me. But if you bring kickboxing into it, great self-defense, good flexibility, good strength, something about it that just takes it to a new level. But everybody's different.
I like punching things.
Oh yes. Boom.
Punching things is fun. Running, I hate running.
Yeah. So for me, it's yoga.
Favorite activity.
Yoga's good.
We're doing yoga.
Yeah. And that is exercise too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've been, when I was doing my yoga instructor training, and it was, I'd have a full day of class and I'd be like, okay, I'm feeling this class.
Yeah.
So for sure.
It's a lot. Like, you're holding positions, and the back and the hips are involved, and you want to make sure that you can hold it without the muscle cramping up. So there's a lot to it, for sure.
A lot of core work, right?
Core and strengthening, and as well as the mindfulness piece, but really the stretching is what I found super valuable for me.
Right.
Doing the stretching and prolonged stretching, putting your legs up the wall, that kind of thing. And I find building a little bit into your routine every day that you can manage.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just try and go into it all gung-ho and I'm going to do yoga here and I'm going to do it here and I'm going to do this. Like manageable bites, and then you can add on slowly. That's what's been helpful for me anyway.
I think that's hard on a lot of people, though, is the fact that it's not instant results.
Yes.
There's no pill that they'll ever be able to develop that will take place of exercise. And I think they're trying, like in the States, with that, I forget the name of it, but it's a weight loss one that's used for diabetes. But
is it the Ozempic?
Ozempic, yeah.
Ozempic is the weight loss, the big, huge weight loss thing.
Yeah. It's to the point where they were spending so much on producing it for people who are outside of diabetics, then they didn't have enough for diabetics itself. I mean, about health, so I think people really have to relearn why they're doing something, put out a little bit more effort to do it. Like, for example, people, if they go walking, okay, maybe if they don't run, the Canadian average for a minimum benefit for cardiovascular health is 30 minutes 5 times a week at a brisk pace, at about a 7 out of 10 effort, and you build your bones and work your lungs and improve your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a stroll in the park where you stop and start. It's an actual continuous walk. And walking is a form of the meditation too. So every time you walk, you're microscopically bending your bone and you're absorbing calcium. So that's one of the funny things, or not funny things, but what they said about aerobics instructors in the 80s was at about 8 hours or under, if you taught classes, every time you move, your bone bends and you absorb calcium. But if you went over 8 hours, the calcium would reverse out of the bone. So a lot of people would develop issues. It would hurt them more. The body would not be anabolic anymore. It would be catabolic. So,
Oh,
it's
so not too much exercise.
So don't do 8 hours of aerobics a day.
Yeah, no pain, no gain. That's a fine example of why that didn't work. So
Who would want to do more than 8 hours of aerobics?
I won't be on that list, so I'm good.
I will not be there.
I myself, and I could not keep up to the. By the time they were cueing me to do one move, they were 4 moves ahead. I said, "No, this is absolutely ridiculous." Not that they didn't have a fitness and know what they were doing, but it didn't translate to me. And so, I mean, but in tennis, like I play a lot of tennis, or will again, there's a kind of basic movement to that. You have to stop, start, but I have to build up from 50% now, 60, 65, 70, and do it over a month before I can get back to hitting a ball hard without any possible re-injury.
Right.
Yeah. So I can't believe the time has passed as quickly as it
I
has.
know, right? It's almost like we were at one of Andrew's exercise classes.
That's right. Because they go fast.
Yeah.
This has been fun. This has been very fun.
So do you have any final words of wisdom for our viewers, Andrew?
Keep the faith, set goals, write it down, keep yourself accountable, tell a friend, tell yourself you can do it. Believe in yourself, and you will achieve new heights not only in your exercise, but everywhere in your life.
Beautiful.
That's great. Well, thank you
so much. Hey, you would think we would rehearse that.
I know, right?
Thank
you so
grateful.
much.
I appreciate you both. Thank you, Heidi, and thank you, Tanys. And I'm glad we had this talk, and hopefully some more too.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And so if you're interested in reaching out to Andrew, his number is below. So you'll be able to give him a call if you want to find out more about how to have him show you his routines.
With humor.
With humor.
With humor.
That's right.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And don't forget to come back at the end of the month and see Compassionate Conversations. Bye now.
Bye.